Hi guys, hope you're all doing alright. Today's video is actually about a Hamilton. First of all, have you ever bought a Hamilton? Do you ever want to own a Hamilton? If not, today's video is hopefully going to appeal to both those camps, because first of all, if you've bought a Hamilton, you know that what they offer you for your money is actually really good. And second, if you've never bought a Hamilton, maybe this could be your first, and I think it'll be something you'd really enjoy. Could this be one of the best Hamiltons you can get for way under £1,000? Under 500 if you get it in the sales. So stick with me and we'll go into detail. Guys, let's get straight into this. First thing I want to just quickly disclose is this is one of the straps I sell in my store, and I've put it on this watch because I think it suits it better. It's very of the era, 1960s, and I don't like the standard strap because it's actually quite poor. I mean, it's actually started to separate here, and it's just a little bit stiff and crunchy feeling, and it just looks a little bit too dated. Even though I like a vintage looking watch, I wanted something that was a bit more comfortable. There's so many subtle details I want to share with you with this review today, because the subtle details of what makes this simple looking watch, just from first glance, like you're looking at it now, have some really wonderful little elements which just tickle the fancy over time. When you look at it and go, cool, that is nice. That is subtle but really brilliant. But it's not a perfect watch. I'm going to show you things which I think that they I've messed up a little bit on, but nothing major. Don't just do it in the silver case. You can get it in gold. You do them with black dial and things like that. So do have a look on the Hamilton website if you don't like the silver dial. But I went for silver because I think it's just so neutral and versatile. Good for strap changes. Black dials look a bit too dressy. Silver, I think, makes something look a little bit more as an everyday watch. What do you guys think? Let me know. The things I'm going to talk about now, really, the details. The devil is in the details in this gorgeous watch.
Yes.
The first thing is the fact there's no seconds hand. That's really a unique thing to keep it minimalistic. It's weird at first. You sort of so used to watching something moving all the time, and you worry always, is it alive? Is it keeping time? Trust me, it is. This is keeping great time. I've had it on the time grapher. It's running as you would expect a Swiss movement to, which is obviously really reassuring. But the reason why they did that is obviously for minimalism and keep it simple looking and clean. And then some would argue, and I would agree correctly as well, as you paradoxically make it look more complicated by putting a date complication in there, which I think kind of detracts from the whole keep it simple looking. But you know what? I think it's a weird compromise, because I like a date complication for an everyday wear piece. And that's what I think this is, a great everyday wear watch, because you've got the versatility of it being an accurate, reliable Swiss movement. You've got sapphire, so you don't have to worry about it getting too many marks on it. Date complications, so if you're filling forms in and things, you've got a quick reference to the time. I think if it's an everyday wear watch, generally it should have date complication, but I can live without it, to be honest. You've got the modern practicality of this ETA 2892 movement. It's keeping great time. Very slim for a auto movement. As you can see, this lovely slim profile makes it extremely wearable. And even though this watch looks big, it's only a 38 case size. They do this in a 42 as well, but I think that would look too big in my opinion. 38 on my wrist, 7.25. It fits perfectly. That looks huge, doesn't it? I mean, I really think that looks massive, and that's because of the enormous dial. That's the illusion you get. Some watches can be 44 millimeters, have a microscopic dial, and it really sort of skews with your eyes. But this, because that extremely thin, polished bezel on here, it really is just dominated by that gorgeous dial. And that's what I want to talk about now, because that is where the unique selling point of this watch is, I think. Domed, sunburst dial with indices which are sort of dented inwards, engraved with a gorgeous satin black paint for the markers, and slightly thicker at 12, 3, 6 and 9. Very smart. And then you've got the hands, which are again a satin black or slightly glossy, and they are beautifully aligning with the thickness of the markers. The only downside is it makes it easier for you to see if there's any misalignment issue. I'm going to just quickly show you. I'll go to it at 12 o'clock. Now you see the hour hand here, where it is in relation to the hour mark, and when the minute hand hits, it's actually a bit before. So you can see after sail past about 3 or 4 minutes past, for the hour hand marks lines up there. So ever so slight alignment issue, but I would say that's within tolerances. It's just more obvious because you've got ultra skinny markers and very thin hands. So it just shows you, even on a watch that's Swiss made, costing £700+, you're going to get microscopic misalignment. I just think the simplicity but purity of this dial is what makes it so special. There's no other colours here apart from maybe the white. Would be nice if that was silver, if I'm being ultra picky. Very neatly integrated in there with a very slim and elegant framing around that window, otherwise it would look like it's not meant to be there. Very subtle framing around that, really good. Swiss made on the 6 o'clock index down there, and then you've got Intra-Matic, which I'll talk to you in a sec about, and then you've got Hamilton Automatic there. Now, what is the relevance of Intra-Matic? Effectively, it's, without waffling too long, it's harking back to the 60s when they made some of their watch lines sound more masculine by saying Thin-Matic and things like that. They had their thin gentleman range of watches, and it's almost like the film Grease.
This car could be systematic.
It was like a trend at the time, making something sound technical and masculine, is to stick the word matic in there. I think it's nice that they are harking back to those days when they made those kind of watches by bringing that name onto this watch. It's light, I mean really light, comfortable and smart. It goes with anything. It's like a white pair of trainers. It'll go with so many things. And you can swap it out to a gorgeous tan strap, again, just to freshen it up, and it'll work with so many things. But if I was to be picky, I would say the lack of a seconds hand is a bit weird. Nicely sized crown, really easy to grip and smooth hand winding. It's just a push-pull crown, which is fine. But it's just such a nice, easy, just grab and go watch. Only downside to these high polished watches, they do pick up micro scratches. To be honest, they're so minimal and they sort of add the sort of aging character to the watch. It's not going to make the watch look ugly, because a huge amount of this watch is about that face and that dial. It really just screams retro vintage to you. And I just think that domed effect is gorgeous. You've even got a slight curvature on the hands at the end, so it conforms with the shape of the dial on that minute hand. And that's just so of its era, and I love that. And these are the little subtle details which just make this kind of watch a subtle joy to wear and look at.
So there you have it. If you want to get one of these watches, do hunt around in the sales, because you can often get them for less, like I did. Different colourways pop up, they're not just the silver dial. So if you've enjoyed this review and fancy getting one of these little bad boys for yourself, go for it. Let me know if you're thinking about getting one, or your positive experiences with any other Hamiltons you've owned, because I think overall they offer fantastic value for money, and I think for many are entry-level Swiss watches that I think have got a bit more interest in design and range compared to Tissot. So Hamilton have backed up that feeling for me even more with this example, and I look forward to maybe getting another Hamilton sometime soon. But which one shall I get?